Okay, 10.2 now. Hopefully a little bit easier than the angle section for 10.1. This is a whole lot of Pythagoras. So, as a reminder, a chord is just a line across the circle that does not go through the diameter. That's the only difference. If it goes through diameter, it's a completely different type of line. First example. You need to find the length of C to D. Okay? You're given the length of A to B as 10 and the length of A to C, which is the radius, of 7. So for all these questions you're going to be using A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It's just a matter now of knowing what you're looking for. In this case, you're looking for A. So in order to find B, these two dashed lines, highlight them here. This dashed line and this dashed line means that they're the same length. So if the whole thing is 10, then just one of them will be 5. So to plug the numbers in, and there'll be just a whole lot of adding, taking the square, and then taking the square root. So you're looking for A plus B will be 5 squared is equal to 7 squared. So following along, 5 squared will be 25, 7 squared will be 49. Let's erase that plus sign and make it an equal sign. Then subtract 25 from each side, so you get A squared by itself, which will equal 24. Then the last step, take the square root, so you're left with only A, and the square root of 24 will be 4.9 centimeters. So there's your first example, hopefully pretty straightforward. It'll be a little more interesting as we go along here. For the second one, now this time you're not given quite as much information, you just have to use those gigantic brains I know you all have to figure it out. So you have a radius here of 15 centimeters. You have a length here of 11 centimeters, and they want you to find x. Okay, so to do that you need to add in a few things. Now a radius is any line that goes from the center to the side of the circle, and as we go through this you're going to find that we're just keep making triangles. So in this case the radius will go from the center to that line, so that is also 15. And you know the blue line along the bottom is 11, so the first thing we're going to find now is A, and then using that information and our radius we'll find x. A lot of these questions now will be at least 2 steps in order to solve. So for the first part, to find A, we have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Again, we're looking for A. B will be 11 squared is equal to 15 squared. Bring the A squared down again. Plus 121 minus 225. Subtract 121 from each side. You're left with A squared is equal to 104. Take the square root. So you get 4, that height of the triangle, answer of 10.2 centimeters. And now the last part, in order to solve for x, just take your radius of 15, subtract that length you found of 10.2, and x will equal 4.8 centimeters. So there's our answer. Again, make sure if you're still confused, you rewind this and go back to double check. Okay, next page. This one is a little small, so we'll make it a little bit bigger. So, you're looking for now the length of chord B to C. In the previous section in 10.1, we talked about if you had an angle at C with endpoints on the diameter, it was automatically a right angle. So now we can still use Pythagoras. All these sections are going to intertwine. So, this time we're looking for B, because 12 will be A and 13 will be C. So you have Pythagoras again, 12 squared plus B squared is equal to 13 squared. Then start solving. 12 squared is 144. 13 squared will be 169. Again, you want B squared by itself. So this will be 25. Take the square root of everything. You get B to equal 5. And in this case, there are no units, so you're finished. Now, on to the next question. So, our next question is you're not going to see a lot of questions just with straight numbers. They like to do problem solving for you and with you. So this is where we'll start now. I granted some of these numbers and you would never measure the depth of how much cereal you use, but just work through the example. Henry has a round cereal bowl with a diameter of 24. So this is half a circle. The diameter is right here, because of course if it was a full circle, it look something like that. Once he pours the corn pops in, the width of the corn pops across the bowl is 14.6. So from all of this, you want to find the depth of the corn pops once she pours them in the bowl. So to do that, again, you need to make smaller triangles. So if we call this point right here the center of the circle and draw a line right to the edge where the corn pops end, that line is the radius from the center to the edge of the circle. So the diameter of 12, half of that will be the radius, 12. Now, if the whole width of the corn pops is 14.6, and this line here is divided in half, then each base of the triangle will be 7.3. So again, it's a two-step question. You need to find, let's erase this 14.6. You need to find the height of the triangle first, and call it A, and using that information with the radius we can find the depth of the corn pops. If you turn the page, you will see a little bit neater everything I just drew out with explanation now, so hopefully that'll help. So, two steps again. You're looking for A, so we're going to look for this height of the triangle plus the base of 7.3 squared is equal to hypotenuse of 12. So let's follow along and work through on solving it. 7.3 will be 53.29. 12 again be 144. Subtract 53.29 from each side. So of course it cancels, leaving with a squared is equal to 90.71. Square root leaves you with the height of the triangle of 9.5 centimeters. The looks really bad. Okay, and then the last part is to find the depth of the corn pops. So depth will be the radius minus that height of the triangle you just found. So the depth of the corn pops is 2.5 centimeters, which cereal leaves them lots of room to add milk. Okay, underneath that is again more real life examples. So you have a pipe and there's a radius of 1.8 meters and the distance from the top of the pipe to the water in it is 2.8, and it wants to know how wide is the water in the pipe. Okay, so for these questions, even though if you're given a picture, I still would like you to draw a circle as best you can. Again, it's just a sketch, so it doesn't need to be perfect by any means. So if you draw a circle, make sure that that circle has a center, and then you start labeling the information you're given. We know that there's water sitting in the bottom of the pipe. That's gravity, there's water there. Then you know that you have a radius, so since we're going to continue to make triangles, start from the center, go to the edge of the water, and that radius is 1.8 meters. And then you're also told the distance from the top of the pipe to the top of the water, so these 2 points is 2.8, and the question is asking you to find the width of the water in the pipe, so this purple line all the way across. So to do that, you are looking for, to start with, what this length is halfway, because they will both be equal, and once you find that, you multiply it by 2. So the only thing you're missing now, this is 2.8, is the height of that triangle. So this part right here. Fortunately, with 2.8 and 1.8, you subtract the two of them, you will find what height of the triangle, or A, is. So again, 2 steps. So we're looking for, in this case, the base of the triangle. So the height, 2.8 minus 1.8, will be 1 squared, plus the base equal to the hypotenuse, which is 1.8, and that is also squared. Put that up so we have a little more room. So 1 squared is 1, plus b squared is equal to 1.8 squared will be 3.24. Subtract 1 from each side, and you're left with b squared is equal to 2.24 square root. So the base of that triangle, so half of what the total width is, will be 1.5, and if you look back up to the top of the question, we are dealing with meters, so this will be 1.5 meters, and so that only gives us half of the width of the water. So to find the whole thing all the way across, which is that purple line, you just take at the end now 1.5 times 2. The width of the water in the pipe is 3 meters. Okay, one more question and then you're free to do your homework. So this doesn't look very good on the one you would have printed out, but hopefully you can see the letters on the screen here. Again, you aren't given a lot of information, you just need to take what you learned from the previous section and what you've learned so far in this section and combine it all. So this circular flower bed has a central point at C, a radius of 8 meters, And if you draw a triangle like is drawn, A to B to D, so A to B to D, that angle at the top is 45 degrees, and you're looking for the angle along the bottom, A to D. So again, draw your own circle, which just makes life a whole lot easier. So you have a circle, and you can add in the little triangle that they have. So 2 lines coming across, you're measuring the distance across the bottom. Should we make that a little bit steeper like they have? Let's erase the whole thing, so it matches up and we're consistent. So you have a circle, you have steeper lines now, and you're looking for that distance across. So we have A here, B at the top, and D down again. So they tell you that this top angle at B is 45 degrees. Okay, and they also tell you you have a central point at C. So knowing what we did in 10.1 for inscribed versus central angles, that leaves you with a central angle connecting A and D. So if your inscribed angle, which I guess actually points up to there, is 45, to go from inscribed to central, you will multiply by 2, which makes the angle at the center a 90-degree right angle. So now we're back to Pythagoras again, which is everyone's new favorite. So distance from C to A is a radius. You know that that is 8 meters. C to D will also be a radius, so it's also 8. And then using Pythagoras, this time we're looking for the hypotenuse, so we're looking for C. So 8 squared plus 8 squared is equal to C squared, 64 plus 64, 128. The only step left now is find the square root, and then at the end you have C equal to 11.3 meters. So there is your final answer. The rest of the handout now is again your homework. Page numbers are at the top. Just follow along. It starts on page 389, goes to 390, goes to 391. Again, if you have questions, please ask, and rewind this, watch at the end, pause, go through it to make sure everything is clear.